Hey there, and welcome back. Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful tool, one that helps us see the whole person behind the student. We're talking about the case study. It's easy to look at things like grades, test scores, and attendance and think you know a student. But what's the story behind those numbers, right? How do we really get a handle on their unique world, their challenges, and maybe even their hidden talents? Well, that is precisely where the case study comes in. So here's what we're going to cover. First up, why is it so powerful to just focus on one person? Then we'll get into what a case study actually is. We'll talk about who makes a good subject for one, walk through the whole 7-step process, and finally, we'll look at some of the really cool tools investigators use to piece it all together. All right, so first things first. Why spend all this time and energy on just one person? It's a fair question. The answer is, well, sometimes to really understand the big picture, you've got to zoom way in. You have to get into the nitty-gritty details to find the root causes of someone's behavior or their abilities. Think of it like this. The whole point of a case study is to untangle a really complex knot. It's not just about collecting a bunch of random data points. The real mission is to find the why behind what someone does. It's about getting to know them on a deeper level, and then using that understanding to actually help them grow. It's way more about empathy and support than it is about cold, hard analysis. And here's the cool part, it's not a one-way street. The person who's the subject of the study, they get a ton out of it too. This whole process can be a huge light bulb moment for them, helping them see their own patterns and build self-awareness. It can be a really empowering journey, a kind of self-discovery. Okay, so we've got the why down. Now let's talk about the what. What makes a case study different from, just watching a student in class for an afternoon? The key phrase here is using various methods. A case study isn't just a single snapshot in time. It's more like creating a whole documentary. You're pulling in footage from all these different angles and sources to create this rich, detailed portrait of a person. And the goal is always the same, to understand them so you can help them. Now, I bet when you hear case study, your mind immediately goes to a student who's struggling, right? And that's fair. But it's really only half the story. This method is actually super versatile. You can see it works for totally different situations. On one hand, you could study a high achiever, maybe someone with amazing artistic talent, or a natural leader. The goal there is to figure out what makes them tick. What's the secret to their success? But on the other hand, you can absolutely focus on a student who needs help, maybe with behavior or learning issues. Both of these are completely valid and super valuable ways to use the case study. So, a really good case study isn't just a random collection of thoughts. Oh no, it's a systematic investigation. It has a clear, structured process that's designed to take all that raw information and turn it into real, meaningful insight. The first 4 steps are all about building a solid foundation. Step 1, you've got to define the problem. What are we actually trying to figure out here? Then, step 2, data collection. This is where you gather info from everywhere you can. Step 3 is the diagnosis. This is where you play detective, sifting through all the clues to pinpoint the core issues. And that leads right into step 4, assist and prevent. Now you take everything you've learned and build a real plan to help. But hey, you're not done once you have a plan. Step 5 is predicting the results. What do you think is going to happen? Then comes step 6, which is maybe the most crucial of all, the follow-up. This isn't a set it and forget it kind of thing. You have to monitor progress, see what's working, what isn't, and be ready to make changes. And finally, step 7, you summarize everything and make clear recommendations for what to do next. Okay, so we talked about data collection back in step 2, but how do you actually do that? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. It's time to open up the investigator's toolkit. I love this because each tool is like a different piece of a puzzle. You've got your basics, like just observing or doing interviews. You can even use autobiographies or daily reports. Then you have more structured tools, like questionnaires or psych tests. But we're going to spotlight 2 really fascinating ones, home visits and sociometrics. Because when you start combining these different puzzle pieces, the full picture really starts to come into focus. All right, first up, the home visit. And yeah, it's pretty much what it sounds like, but its purpose is huge. It's all about seeing a person in their own world, their home environment, to understand the context that shapes who they are. That's something you just can't get from sitting in a classroom. It's about building a bridge between home and school. And just to be clear, this isn't about just dropping in unannounced. No way. It's a professional process. You have to set goals, make an appointment, be super respectful during the visit, and then, this is key, write down your observations immediately afterward so everything is fresh and accurate. Okay, our second tool spotlight is on something called sociometrics. This is an awesome technique for making the invisible visible. It literally lets you see a person's social world. Who are their friends? Who do they trust? Who's avoiding them? It's like creating a map of the invisible social web in a group. And on this map, you start to see these key roles pop up. You've got your star. That's the person everyone wants to be around. Then you might have an isolate, someone who isn't chosen by anyone, or a rejectee, who people are actively staying away from. Seeing these dynamics laid out so clearly can be a game changer for understanding why a student might feel lonely or like they don't belong. And believe it or not, making one of these maps is pretty straightforward. You just ask a simple question like, hey, who would you want to work with on a project? Then you tally up the answers, draw out the map showing all the connections, and bam, you can see the entire social structure of the group in a single glance. So when you boil it all down, the case study is so much more than just a technique. It's really a mindset. It's a commitment to slowing down and really seeing the whole person. It's a reminder that every single one of us has a deep, complex, and totally unique story. The real question, I guess, is are we willing to take the time to actually read it?